Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. Now, we all make mistakes in this game, but in this particular one, you'll watch me make a mistake by forgetting to click a very important upgrade that made the game an uphill battle. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a speed specialist. I started with the steel balls and arc light, and I added 2 sets of crawlers. My opponent, which is a 1900 201 player, started with a supply specialist, also with steel balls and crawlers, and he decided to add 1 arc light and 1 more squad of crawler. Now we both decided to go asim on the same side, so this is going to be a very interesting round 1, and what our responses in round 2 will determine who's going to have an advantage. Right away, you notice that my superior number of arc light is actually helping a lot, allowing my steel balls to lock onto his steel balls on the right hand side. Okay, the crawler continues to stream in, but the arc lights are just too good with the chaff clear, and I end up taking round 1. Round 2 reinforcement cards. Intensive training was very enticing for me, but now I'm looking at this round here, and I said, you're a supply specialist. You had 2 deployment last round that was costing you 200, which means you didn't use that extra 50. This round, you also didn't, or rather this round, you also have another 50, which means that round 2, well, I only have 400. You should be having 500 resources. And of course, you're going to take intensive training, which costs 50 resources, and I'll put you at 450. Looking at this board, if you're my opponent, the most natural thing to do is to actually put down a Wraith. Having more arc light doesn't really make a lot of sense for him. It doesn't provide any sort of tempo. It would essentially just be matching with my arc light count. So having a Wraith would solve 2 problems. 1, it would solve the chaff clear problem, and then 2, it will also create a tempo because I could also go with more chaff with no upshoot. And that's exactly what I was planning for, so I didn't take the reinforcement card, and instead I had the 450 resources to get 2 squads of phoenixes. And the Wraith came on cue. I have my phoenixes already there waiting for him, and it looks like it's going to be another round for me. Alright, so far it's been a great game in my favor. Assault Scorpion, an excellent card. My opponent decided to take the Rhino drop, which I think is fair. We're both going aggro, so it's very unlikely for us to defend all sides. The best that we can do is probably just put some fangs at the corner, or maybe even some crawlers, but I think fangs are a little bit more versatile as they can also defend against wasps. I took the Scorpion, and I've decided to start selling my steel balls. They're really not doing a lot of work. The only unit they're actually hitting is my opponent's steel balls, and they're not doing a great job at it. Assault Scorpion at this distance actually do a huge amount of damage, and because it has the fire rate boost of 1.5 seconds from 4.5, so it would be equivalent to almost 30% increase in firing rate. So it's an excellent unit, especially in this close quarter type of deal. Alright, my opponent took the Rhino. I completely missed it, did not have any sort of defense, so the Rhino is walking towards my tower. But what I did have is I had a squad of crawlers running towards the other side. The problem is, my opponent has already leveled his tower to level 2. So without a tower and also with the level 2 Wraith now coming down onto my unit, I am just not able to provide the firepower required to take down this Wraith. Alright, looking at round 3. We got our first unit drop. I took the Tarantulas without too much thought. My opponent took the Farseer. The reason I took the Tarantula is right now I don't have enough chaff clear. I don't think my arc lights are surviving long enough and also doing good enough of a job with the steel balls just coming down so quickly on them. Tarantula gives me the option to, one, tank more damage. It is extremely helpful against units like the Wraith. And two, provides chaff clear. And then the bonus option is that if I ever want to use Spider Mine to stop my opponent's advance, I can do that. Whereas with Arclight, it's really just a anti-chaff unit, and that's not even that tanky. My opponent took the Farseer, ended up putting Farseer all the way on the right-hand side as a preliminary defender against that level 2 tower, for that level 2 tower. So the thing is, I don't really have any interest in that level 2 tower. I feel like I have a pretty strong board on the left-hand side. My big problem right now are these 3 ranged Wraiths. My Phoenixes are a good counter against the Wraith as long as the Phoenixes stay onto my large unit. And in this round, you can see how the Tarantula is starting to work. The huge amount of HP is allowing them to tank all the shots from these Wraith, which allows my Phoenixes to do their job. Alright, so it's going to be another huge round for me. We're getting the opponent down to just under 1,000. Alright, we got cards again. Amcor is a great card. I don't think Amcor on a Tarantula is the correct decision. It's already clearing chaff good enough. And also, with the steel balls, I am using my Scorpion as the primary solution to those. Spider-Man gets added. Spider-Man on the line could be very powerful. Not the first round, but the second round could actually get some damage done onto my opponent's steel balls. Added more Scorpions and more Tarantula, so now I have a very healthy defensive line all the way across. My opponent understands that one of my primary weakness is the lack of secondary chaff. So once my initial squads of crawlers dissipates, the steel balls should be able to get onto my larger units. So that's a glaring weakness that he is ready to exploit with these Wraiths. And to make matters worse, he knows that Tarantula on their own aren't always the greatest at clearing out a huge amount of chaff, especially if they're coming at you at 180 degrees. So with those two ideas in mind, he was able to exploit that, because once he gets rid of my Scorpions, gets rid of my Tarantula, I have no chaff clear to get rid of his crawlers, which means my Phoenixes are not able to lock onto his Wraiths. But the Spider Mines coming in at the very last second, getting to that tower. Now, I still have a level 2 Scorpion and a level 2 Tarantula, and they are extremely tanky. So what that means is that I have a level 1 Phoenix just trying their hardest trying to take down this Wraith, and it looks like it's not going to happen. Round 6. Efficient tech research is interesting. Intensive training is interesting. None of the other cards are particularly interesting. I think Portable Shield might be good for a squad of steel balls because it allows them to tank at least one shot from the Scorpions. Teleportation. Right now, I am a little bit weaker, so my opponent can use that card to maybe teleporting a squad of crawlers and Phoenixes and then come snipe my tower. Alright, so it's going to be intensive training for me. And for my opponent. It looks like he's still thinking on the option here. Oh, there it is. My opponent decided to go with the intensive training as well. So this round, I'm ready to finish the game. Last round, I noticed I had a chaff problem. So this round, I used multiple missiles to get rid of that frontline chaff. I added additional chaff in the back line here. And I added additional Phoenixes. Now with the Phoenixes, I am going to take one technology, and that is Quantum Assembly. I noticed that my level 3 Phoenix was just getting killed a little bit too quickly on the left-hand side by his level 4 Wraith, now with Amcor. So I want to make sure that my Phoenix survive all the way to the very end. Alright, the front is doing well, but I missed one sneaky flank on the back. I had a missile there before. It was used up last round, and this round I didn't have a missile, and my opponent saw that opportunity and went for it. And there's going to be a huge payoff because, oh, as you can see, no tower. And I didn't like this at all because my opponent started to stabilize, which means I am missing the window of opportunity to really get his units. And the issue later on when you're playing against ranged Wraith is they just get so tanky that my Phoenixes can't reliably two-shot them, which means they'll get close. And once Wraiths get close to a Phoenix, the Phoenix are not going to win that fight. Alright, second round of unit cards. Rhino is a great option. We have a lot of chaff that's currently on the ground. We also have level 1 sandworms. So level 2 or 2 level 3 rhinos with Final Blitz and potentially kill everything in this area, including the sandworm. That was the strategy anyways. So I positioned my rhinos and I look around the board and I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to make sure that my rhino run forward. So first thing, let's get rid of some chaff with the additional missiles. And then 2 is I don't want my rhino to explode on my units. So I'm adding 2 shields, knowing that the rhino will likely to move out of the shield range and then explode, which means the shield will protect myself from it. I wanted to make sure I got tower upgrades in case of another cheeky drop. So we did have a rhino drop on my opponent's side. And then I want to make sure that I have units tagged with range. And by that point, I completely forgot about what I wanted to do in the first place. If you click on my rhino right now, they have no tech. Which means there's no explosion. And just watch how many units are coming in to my rhino, and imagine if all of those units were killed right there and then. Wouldn't that be a great sight? Alright, so at round 7, once we finish the game, we'll go back to round 7 and see what can happen if I actually remember to click on that tech. There's no reason for me to go for range tech in this round, especially if I was confident that most of my ground units will stay intact in the final fight. I don't think range was just worth it. We'll never be in a situation where there's nothing on the ground left over and it's just the Wraith, so that my Phoenixes should be able to do a reliably decent damage. Alright, let's go into round 8. We do have a few reinforcement cards. My opponent took the tank production onto the sandworm, so just to provide even more chaff. And then he clicked the all-important 8-gun on the Wraith, and it doubles the effectiveness of the Wraith, not just in damage output, but also chaff clear. 8-gun Wraith is probably the best chaff clear unit in the game. Every one of his 8 guns shoot at an individual target, and it has a splash of 8 meters, and it fires every 1.6 seconds. So think of it as a half a squad of Stonecrawlers with their Stonecrawler missiles that arrive faster, that shoots way faster, that has a huge amount of HP, and that flies. So, like 8-gun Wraith on the line against chaff, absolute the best thing that you can have, which is why I personally love playing 8-gun Wraith whenever I'm doing this steel ball aggro. Alright, so this game is falling out very quickly, all because I didn't capture the opportunity at round 7 to go boom Rhino. But I still have quite a lot of HP, or at least I had quite a lot of HP, so I have a chance to get this back. Alright, mass-produced Wraith was offered. I had a severe chaff clear problem. Even though I took the Boom Rhino last round, it was just too little too late. So in this round, I took the Wraith. I had the range on the Wraith. Didn't have enough money to go for 8-gun, so I have to just settle with regular 4-gun Wraith, which I think should be sufficient, at least against crawlers. And for my opponent, he's ready for the final knockout punch. First thing he did, Wraith in the corner with the sandworm going straight to my tower. And then he proceeded to missile on the right hand side to make sure that he has no funny business, or I have no chance to do any funny business on the right hand side. Continues to level up his Wraith. He now has one level 5 Wraith and a level 7 Wraith. So this is a huge army, and I don't even think my level 3 Phoenix is even able to take down these two Wraith if they have the chance to fire at them for the entire round. Alright, so with the tower down, that is going to be GG for my opponent. But let's jump back to round 7 and let's play that round one more time and see what would have happened if I actually remembered to click on my attack. Alright, let's go to round 7. Alright, so we're going to take the Rhinos. We are going to get Final Blitz as we originally intended. We're going to put the Rhino in these locations. We're going to get shields. We're going to start getting rid of chaff. So we need to get one here. One here. And one here. And that's also part of the plan. Now with the extra money left over, I think, probably want to protect my tower a little better. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about Wraith, so I'm just going to go and put down Tarantulas. And it's going to be 10 branch times speed. I got some extra money. Put down more missiles. And I think that's it, right? Alright, Rhino in. Rhino gets one sandworm. Rhino gets sandworm number 2. Rhino is onto my tower. Alright, Rhino actually got my tower. But I am bringing down his gigantic Wraith. And with that, 1400 damage. So at the time, my opponent only had about 900 damage. So if I actually did what I wanted to do, which is having boom Rhinos this round, I would have won the game. So here goes to show that how sometimes one opportunity is really all it takes for you to win this game. And if you missed it, and there's no going back. So I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you want to see more great games, here's another one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.